Hi, this is Sarah. In this lecture, we will review cataract surgery following corneal refractive surgery. The learning objectives of this lecture are the concerns when dealing with cataract surgery in eyes with a history of corneal refractive surgery, the challenges we face in intraocular lens power calculation, and the methods and formulas we use for the lens calculation. With the rise in popularity of refractive surgery, an increasing number of patients with a history of such procedures now need cataract surgery. Surgeons face several unique challenges in this patient population that tends to be highly motivated to retain or regain functional, uncorrected acuity postoperatively. Cataract surgery in patients with previous refractive surgery is significantly more complex than routine cataract surgery, particularly due to the increased difficulty in biometry and intraocular lens power calculations, and careful consideration is crucial in selecting the appropriate IOL. Corneal refractive surgery alters the corneal curvature to focus light more precisely on the retina. The most common corneal refractive procedures are laser in situ keratosmolusis, photorefractive keratectomy, radial keratotomy. LASIK and PRK are used to treat myopia, hyperopia, and astigmatism. Radial keratotomy changes the shape of the cornea by making deep corneal incisions. This technique has been replaced by laser vision correction and is now rarely used. However, since it was commonly performed to treat myopia in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, many of those patients are now at an age where cataract surgery is needed. Calculating intraocular lens power following refractive surgery is a complex process without a single, clear, superior method. Standard IOL power formulas can lead to significant unintended postoperative refractive errors. Special methods for IOL power calculation should be used in these cases. Generally, intraocular lens power calculation relies on three measurements: axial length, corneal power, and effective lens position, which are not measured independently. An error in any of these three parameters can lead to a potential refractive surprise. Corneal refractive surgery alters the corneal curvature and introduces errors in the measurement of corneal power, subsequently leading to errors in the prediction of effective lens position. However, it does not change the axial length. Three different causes of error can be identified in the IOL power calculation process after refractive surgery. 1. Effective lens position prediction error. 2. Corneal power measurement error, and 3. Instrument error. The first error is the error in the prediction of the effective lens position. Standard formulas use the axial length and corneal power to predict the position of the IOL postoperatively, except of ACSC. Corneal refractive surgery alters the corneal power but not the depth of the lens, leading to an error in ELP prediction with the standard formulas. It is estimated that error of 1 mm in effective lens position corresponds to 1.5 diopters error in the final refraction. After myopic laser or radial keratotomies, where there is corneal flattening and the corneal power is decreased, the formula will underestimate the effective lens position, with a subsequent underestimation of the lens power. This will shift the postoperative refraction towards hyperopia. In an opposite way, overestimation of the lens power and myopic shift occurs after hyperopic laser. Holiday 1 and 2, Hoffer-Q, and SRKT are some of the well-known formulas that use keratometry values as predictor of the effective lens position. It must be highlighted that ACSC formula is not affected by this problem since K readings are not used as effective lens position predicting variable. It should be pointed out that not all algorithms are equally affected. Hoffer-Q, for example, is less affected, and that the induced error magnitude is proportional to the dioptric correction of the refractive procedure. The second source of error with the standard formulas is the corneal power calculation error. Keratometry and topography measure only the anterior surface of the cornea and convert the radius of the curvature to diopters using the standard refractive index of the cornea. After ablation laser, either LASIK or PRK, there is a selective flattening or steepening of the anterior surface of the cornea, but the posterior curvature remains unchanged, thereby altering the normal anterior-posterior curvature ratio. The refractive index is no more valid, and that leads to a miscalculation of total corneal power. In post-myopic treatment, there will be an overestimation of the K reading of about 1 diopter for each 7 diopters of myopic treatment. Therefore, this overestimation of the K readings eventually leads to an underestimation of the IOL power that should be implanted, and this subsequently leads to hyperopic refractive error after cataract surgery. On the other hand, K readings are underestimated after a hyperopic laser, leading to overestimation of the IOL power and myopic error after cataract surgery. So, coming to the third source of error, the instrument error, we know that keratometers measure the paracentral points at a 3.2 mm zone and they miss the central zone, so they are not able to measure accurately the post-refractive surgery central corneal power. This usually leads to overestimation of the corneal power and hypermetropic shift in cases of myopic refractive correction, and the opposite in cases of hyperopic correction. So, to get an accurate prediction, the IOL power calculation method must be adjusted, providing solutions to the different problems. Regarding the effective lens position, the easiest solution is to use a calculation formula that does not use the corneal power to predict the IOL position within the eye. One of them is the Hages formula, which uses anterior chamber depth and axial length to predict the effective lens position. Another solution is to use the Aramberry double K method. With this method, any formula that uses corneal power to predict ELP can be used with a modification that allows a sequential use of 2 different K values. The pre-laser keratometric value will be used in the lens position calculation algorithm, and the post-laser keratometric value will be used in the final optical calculation of IOL power. Currently, most IOL calculators apply this method once the post-laser calculation mode has been selected. The Holiday IOL Consultant software only applies it within the Holiday 2 formula. The online IOL calculator of the American Society of Cataract and Refractive Surgery uses this method with the Holiday 1 and Barrett formulas. The Barrett True K formula is programmed in double K manner. Many formulas and approaches have been proposed to improve the accuracy of IOL power calculation in eyes after corneal refractive surgery. There are 3 categories of methods, based on whether and how they use historical data acquired before corneal refractive surgery. There are methods using 100% of historical data, methods using a combination of historical data and current corneal power values, and methods that do not require historical data. Let's describe the clinical history method. The central corneal power is calculated by adding the mean keratometry power before the refractive surgery to the spherical equivalent before the refractive surgery, and then subtracting the spherical equivalent after the refractive surgery. Theoretically, this method estimates the actual corneal power, and it is easy to calculate but requires knowledge of keratometry prior to the refractive surgery as well as induced refractive change before the development of cataract. The major limitations of this approach are the unavailability and inaccuracy of the preoperative data. Considering that the refractive surgery may have been performed 30 to 40 years ago, obtaining accurate preoperative data can be challenging, especially if you were not the original surgeon. Moreover, it is not suitable for corneal power calculation after radial keratotomies because the cornea typically flattens progressively over many years. Several methods have been proposed that require no historical data. The formulas fall into 2 categories: formulas that use only anterior corneal power measurements, and formulas based on corneal power measurements of both the anterior and posterior corneal surfaces. The formulas that use only the K readings of the anterior surface of the cornea, which are obtained by keratometry and topography, adjust these K values based on either regression analysis or assume the posterior corneal power. So, they do not measure the posterior curvature of the cornea, but they predict it. Some of the formulas using only anterior measurements are the Wong-Koch-Maloney, Shamus, Hages-L, and the Barrett-Trukino history formula. Regarding the accuracy, the Barrett-Trukino history formula and Hages are the most promising with the smallest variance and median refractive prediction error. With advanced technology, new devices that measure both anterior and posterior corneal surfaces have become available, such as the SchemFlug and OCT devices. The most accurate tomography method is the Pentacam Holiday Report. Total keratometry is a new parameter that has been included recently in the IOL Master 700. Total keratometry is calculated from the OCT measured anterior and posterior corneal radii. It can be used in normal eyes, although there is no evidence that it significantly improves the outcomes in normal eyes. But it has a great value in post-refractive cases. It can be used in any formula that doesn't use corneal power to predict effective lens position, such as Hages, or in any other formula with the double K method. With total keratometry, the accuracy is increased. Recently, Barrett showed that by using the measured posterior cornea, 78% of patients achieved within half a diopter target, compared with 66% when using the predicted posterior cornea. Now, regarding radial keratotomy, apart from the surgical challenges of avoiding the RK incisions and the risk of them opening up, there are several features of post-RK eyes that make IOL calculations even more challenging. In contrast to myopic ablations, radial keratotomy flattens both the anterior and the posterior surface of the cornea. The anterior-posterior ratio changes induce underestimation of the K reading. But this is compensated by the peripheral measurement of steeper values whenever the cornea is very flat and prolate. Hence, the net keratometric error is variable, under or overestimation, depending on the surgery effect. Moreover, there is usually irregular astigmatism. An additional issue is the frequent temporal fluctuation of keratometry, and thus refraction, sometimes following a circadian cycle. Target refraction in these eyes is many times a moving target. Another thing that you will frequently see after radial keratotomy, particularly in patients that have had 16 cuts or more radial keratotomies, is called hyperopic progression. Over the years, the corneal becomes flatter, and the refraction becomes more and more hyperopic. So, one thing to consider is that in cataract surgery you could purposefully target myopia to compensate for the continued hyperopic progressing. So, for the calculation of the intraocular lens power for cataract surgery after radial keratotomy, the Barrett-Trukino formula is the most accurate one, especially when the preoperative history is available. When we do not have pre-RK data, we can use the Barrett-Trukino history, but we could compare it with the Hages. Finally, we have various online post-refractive intraocular lens calculators, which have made our lives easier. The most popular is the calculator provided from the American Society of Cataract and Refractive Surgery website. This calculator can be used in eyes with previous LASIK, PRK, or radial keratotomies. It is free and accessible to anyone. It can be used either we have preoperative data or not. In this online calculator, we enter whatever data we have. The history data, if they are available, the keratometric data and the biometric data. And then, it calculates the power of the lens using various formulas. Finally, multifocal or presbyopia correcting IOLs after a previous refractive surgery are traditionally considered a bad idea in post-refractive surgery eyes. They are more sensitive in refractive errors, which obviously are more likely in post-laser eyes, as we mentioned before. There is also a higher risk of visual disturbances due to the combination of a multifocal lens and the post-laser cornea, with increased spherical aberrations and irregular astigmatism. However, good results can be achieved. IOLs with negative asphericity are available, and EDOF lenses are more forgiving of small refractive errors. So, they can occasionally be considered, but setting realistic expectations is important, and we should be prepared to perform enhancement or IOL exchange if necessary. So, in conclusion, when dealing with post-refractive eyes, it's essential to use multiple methods to determine the central corneal power and choose the flattest K value. Similarly, employ more than one formula for intraocular lens calculation, choosing the highest IOL power. It's preferable to lean towards a myopic outcome rather than a hyperopic one. However, despite these precautions, it's important to inform patients that refractive errors may still occur. In this slide, you can find all relevant references for further reading. Thank you all for your attention. I hope you enjoyed this presentation on cataract surgery following corneal refractive surgery, and please don't forget to run the self-evaluation tests of the lecture.